Al Sharpton gets absolutely triggered by Vivek Ramaswamy's obvious intellectual superiority. Bless his heart, the so-called reverend did what he could to try to rhetorically corner Vivek, but he looked more like the coyote chasing the roadrunner. You're going to absolutely love this. Greetings, gang. It's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, make sure to share this video with friends and family. Unfortunately, we are once again being throttled by big tech, so I need your help to get the hopeful message of this channel out to as many people as possible.
I want to start with comments you made repeatedly now, referring to Massachusetts Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley and author Ibram Kendi as, quote, grand wizards of the modern KKK. Now, I understand you differ with both of them politically and probably with me. But as a graduate of Harvard and Yale universities, I believe you must be aware the Ku Klux Klan is not a political party. It's a terrorist organization. Historians view the Klan as the driving force behind lynchings of blacks in the American South, more than 4,000 people murdered from 1877 to 1950. And the group is linked to numerous other acts of racial violence continuing through the civil rights movement to the present day. You're running to be the leader of the free world, so your choice of words matter. Have you taken any time to reflect upon the possibility that comparing your political rivals to murderous terrorists might put their lives in danger at a time when hate crimes are on the rise? Or do you just don't care?
So Reverend Sharpton, I don't look at the world through political parties. Frankly, it's good to see it's been 20 years since we last spoke. And part of the reason that I came to that event 20 years ago with you is that you were a political outsider just like I am in my own party. But let me talk about the issue you're actually asking about, which is that, you know, what's toxic about that old worldview of organizations like the KKK, which have been a god-awful stain on our national history, is that they say that your skin color determines what you're allowed to say, what you're allowed to think. To say you have to shut up, sit down, and do as you're told because you're black or brown-skinned. Well, you know what Ayanna Pressley said much more recently is that we don't want any more black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't want any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. And so, yes, I do think there are echoes of a historical ugly racism in this country now showing up in new clothing.
To say we
and
don't
what I want to lead us to as the next president
just a second.
is a
To say
united
that we
nation
do not want
where we
black
don't actually
voices,
judge each other on the color of our
to
skin.
say that is not going with sheets and burning crosses and lynching people. If she said something you disagree with,
the point I'm making,
you cannot equate Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan with somebody saying something that you think is a little controversial or a little too far. Some of our relatives were terrorized by the Ku Klux Klan. I'm trying to get you to understand the pain of that.
I know you're intellectually honest. I know you're an intellectually honest guy, and so I will remind you that Hakeem Jeffries drew analogies between Donald Trump and the Ku Klux Klan, and I don't think you had him on pressing him in the same way. So we're drawing analogies here to make a point.
He did not call Donald Trump the Grand Dragon of the KKK. He did not call Donald Trump an officer of the modern KKK. Let's not change what was said.
Now, what Sharpton just did there was blatantly false. I mean, he just out and out lied. The fellow they're talking about there is a far-left woke nut named Hakeem Jeffries, a New York representative, who said exactly that about Donald Trump. Hear it for yourself.
Obviously, these are challenging times in the United States of America. We have a hater in the White House, the birther-in-chief, the Grand Wizard of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. One of the things that we've learned is that while Jim Crow may be dead, he's still got some nieces and nephews that are alive and well.
So Al Sharpton, in trying to make a very forced, very tortured distinction, that you can make a comparison between politicians and the KKK, but you can't call them grand wizards. You can't do that. In trying to make a distinction without a difference, he actually had to lie.
So, Reverend Sharpton, though, I'm calling out a double standard and saying that certain people can use certain analogies to make a point. Well, I'm using an analogy to make a point. And the point I'm making is we should stop seeing each other on the basis of our skin color. It was god-awful when the KKK did it. But you know what? We have to learn a lesson in the present that we're creating more racial division in this country.
But you
when you say
cannot
if
do
you
it
have black
being
skin,
insensitive.
you can only think one thing.
You cannot do it being insensitive to our feeling. Like, that's like calling somebody of any kind of group that had a group that were terrorizing.
So I agree
and
with you. We
killing
need
them.
sensitivity.
So I think we need to be very careful about that. And I wanted to raise that with you directly. Let me go to my next point.
And I respect that you're willing to have an open conversation.
But I want to ask you a couple of questions. And one thing, you know, if you talked, you mentioned we talked 20 years ago, and I'm going to get to that, but you should have known 20 years ago. You're not going to out-talk me, so let me ask my question. I'll let you talk, then I'll go back to the next point.
Goes both ways, yeah.
All right.
Hey, gang, you know how you could really stick it to the woke left? It's just by clicking on the link below and getting your very own set of these collectible limited supply Trump cards. Patriots played their anti-globalist Trump card against the left in 2016, and guess what? We're getting ready to play it again in 2024. So what better way to show your support for Trump's re-election than with these 5 collectible pieces of Trump art? These cards have a limited supply, so don't wait. Only 2,500 sets of these cards are set to be made. They all come with a certificate of authenticity verifying you own an original set. These make great gifts for any MAGA patriot in your life. And if you buy 2 sets, you're also going to get a bonus gold Trump 2024 card absolutely free. These physical cards are high quality, made in America, and highly collectible. But again, there's only a limited supply, so don't wait. By the time you remember, they'll likely be gone. So click on that link below right now and get your Trump cards today. Yeah, whether Sharpton likes it or not, what Vivek is arguing there is a perfectly legitimate argument. Bill Maher, a self-professed liberal, is making the exact same argument. I mean, that's absolutely key here. Liberals are making the very same argument as Vivek is. It's not a partisan argument specific to the conservative. Even liberals see the legitimacy of the analogy. Maher was just on the Joe Rogan show, and he made substantially the same argument as Vivek.
I'm always trying to make the case that liberal is a different animal than woke.
Yeah.
Because it is. And you can be woke with all the nonsense that now implies, but don't say that somehow it's an extension of liberalism.
Right.
Because it's most often actually an undoing of liberalism. So you can have your points of view and your positions on these things, but don't try to piggyback on what I've always believed. I have always believed, as liberals do, for example, in a colorblind society, that the goal is to not see race at all anywhere for any reason.
Yes.
That's what liberals always believed all the way through. Obama, going back, Kennedy, everybody, Martin Luther King. That's not what the woke believe. They believe race is first and foremost the thing you should always see everywhere, which I find interesting because that used to be the position of the Ku Klux Klan, that we see race first and foremost everywhere.
Yeah.
So, again, you can have that position, but don't say that's a liberal position. You're doing something very different.
Now, again, the irony in all of this is that what Bill Maher and Vivek are saying there has actually been corroborated by members of the woke left. For example, at a rally in Los Angeles, Pan-African Studies professor Melina Abdullah, she's the co-founder of Black Lives Matter LA, openly denounced the city of Los Angeles as filled with what she called liberal white supremacists.
So it's important as we say things like, I see your sign, Donald Trump, yeah, Donald Trump, that we remember that we live in a city that is largely liberal white supremacists. So the kind of white supremacists, they have black friends that sit at the dinner table, right? That brag about having served in the Peace Corps, right? That speak Spanish, right? The kind of white supremacists who will smile in your face but enact policies that kill our people. As we talk about white supremacist terrorists like Donald Trump, every time we say Donald Trump, we gotta say Garrett Garcetti.
Now, you'll note what she did there. This woke activist publicly denounced their mayor at the time, Eric Garcetti, who was your typical progressive liberal mayor, and she called him out as what? What is he? He's a liberal white supremacist. Now, you have to get that. You'll notice that according to this BLM LA founder, the fact that she and the mayor are both on the political left no longer means they're on the same political side. A white liberal can now be equated with KKK white supremacists. That's what's happening to the modern left today. That's what both Vivek and Bill Maher are calling out. And Al Sharpton actually had to lie. He had to reduce himself to a bald-faced lie to try to push back on the logic of that analogy, a logic that even woke activists corroborate and exemplify. The fact is that Al Sharpton and the whole of that vile network known as MSNBC have embraced an ethno-nationalist sentiment known as tribalism, where populations are increasingly balkanizing as they turn towards their own ethnic identity and loyalties based on kin and race as the basis for a postmodern social order. It's precisely in this sense that the modern-day left is indistinguishable from the KKK. Not in practice, but certainly in theory. And the theory, of course, precedes the practice. And the very fact that Sharpton had to stoop to such lengths to deflect himself and the Democrats from such an analogy only serves to demonstrate how immersed he is in it. Are you ready to join the resistance? Because I'm leading a group of dedicated, courageous patriots who can lead a spearhead into the heart of the secular globalist establishment. We punished Bud Light and Target, driven CNN and the legacy media to near bankruptcy, forced BlackRock to backtrack on ESG, and now we're seeing our conservative-dominated Supreme Court ending affirmative action and protecting religious liberty. In my Insiders Club, I show you concrete steps to take locally and online that will only keep this mass uprising going until the battle is won. Don't wait. Click the link in my description below and join my Courageous Patriots Insiders Club today.